It is the most powerful car that Audi has ever made. Performance has become ridiculously accessible. You can just silently destroy everything. This is a road car which you can take to a drag race and win drag races without doing any tuning, without putting any masala on the car, nothing. I don't believe that I, of all people, am complaining about too much power. Any monkey can win drag races if you have a car like the RS e-tron GT. 3 years ago, when Audi launched the RS e-tron GT in India, I took this electric car to the drag strip. This was only my second drag race that I've ever entered in my life. And this electric Audi, it finished second fastest of that entire event. In fact, it was only bested by a massively tuned 488, and I was slower than him by just 0.076 seconds, and that was purely down to my poorer reaction times. I did a quarter mile time of 11.176 seconds, but today with the updated RS e-tron GT, that's not going to be a problem, because today there is a performance version. The performance version gets 280 horsepower more than the earlier RS e-tron GT. It is now Audi's most powerful car, 912 bhp, 1027 newton meters of torque, and 0 to 100 in a claimed 2.5 seconds, 0 to 200 in a claimed 8 seconds flat. This is massively fast. Next drag race, this is the car to take. So in this video, we're going to talk to you about the updates on the RS e-tron GT. Slight exterior updates, but the main improvements are to the battery pack, to the suspension, the active suspension, and of course the performance. And that's why we're going to start off with the 0 to 100 time. Right, so we have to test out the acceleration before we talk about anything else. Audi claims 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds. That is 0.8 of a second quicker than the earlier RS e-tron GT. Now you have the RS e-tron GT performance with 912 bhp, 1027 newton meters of torque. So let's try that out. So on the Audi Drive Select, we have dynamic mode. Click OK. We got the acceleration measurements out here. So you get 0 to 100, 200, quarter mile, 1/8 of a mile. We don't have enough distance out here, so we can't measure the quarter mile, but we'll obviously get 0 to 100. OK, left foot on the brake, right on the, not the gas, launch control program activated. Zero to 100 in 2.5 seconds. Audi claims 0 to 200 in 8 seconds flat. They don't have a figure for the quarter mile time. I'll try and get that and then I'll put it in the supers below. But 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds. With this car, you can win drag races. Even if you have a slower reaction time, you can still win drag races. And it takes your breath away. This is wickedly fast. This is wild. Road car, 2.5 seconds. Crazy. Let's do that again. Okay, so the acceleration might be vicious, but acceleration is also addictive. So let's do that again. Again, left foot on the brake, right on the gas, launch control activated. And this acceleration is repeatable. The second run, again, 2.5 seconds. So you just don't have to do anything. Any monkey can get 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds. Any monkey can win drag races if you have a car like the RS e-tron GT. Nothing, you don't have to do anything. These are the same cars that some guys were driving on the road section. It just got some fancy livery on it. Very cool looking livery on it. And that's it. Just go over and over again. As long as you have juice, you can just go on with the acceleration. And then you can go find an autocross track, go and do an autocross. You just have to be precise with it. And that's it. With electric cars, performance has become ridiculously accessible. You can just silently destroy everything. Of course, there's no noise, there's no emotion. In fact, all that emotion that you associate with a motorsport event, all of that is missing. There's no smell of petrol, no fumes, none of that. This is clinical. That's true. It is clinical. But you do get performance, right? I'm going to be greedy. One last time. Launch control activated. Again, 0 to 100 again in 2.5 seconds. Okay, now we should hit the road. Enough of this. I think I will throw up. I'll make myself sick. So with the active suspension, the big benefit is the curve tilting function. So what that does is on a windy road. So what the suspension does is that it actively leans the body into the curve, sort of like a motorcycle, and that reduces the lateral G's on your body to make it a little bit more comfortable. Now, this mode is available in the comfort setting. It's not available in Sport and Sport Plus. So this is actually a comfort setting. So if you're driving on a nice windy road, and the RS e-tron GT, in fact, the entire e-tron GT range is a GT. It's not an out-and-out sports car, even though it has got mad acceleration. So the idea is that you're comfortable when driving fast, and the curve assist, by leaning the body into the curve, that reduces the effect of the lateral G's on your body and makes it slightly more comfortable. In terms of grip, there's of course a mad amount of grip. Now this is a heavy car, but because of the battery is mounted low down, the center of gravity is low, and that means you can really carry some speeds around corners. The grip is actually phenomenal. In fact, I drove the RS e-tron GT, did an autocross at the BIC, and the speed, the performance, the vicious acceleration, the grip, and the grip that you got while exiting out of corners, man, it was the fastest thing that I have driven around the track. And it's only gotten better with this RS e-tron GT performance version. You get even more power now, even more precise steering. The rear axle steering has been retained, but the steering ratio is quicker. It's 7% quicker. It's small changes, nothing dramatic. But the e-tron GT never needed a dramatic overhaul. These small incremental benefits do make a noticeable difference in the way the car drives and in the amount that you can actually push this. So the other benefit of the active suspension is that the body remains flat when you're accelerating. And if you notice, the body isn't actually lifting, and that is a big change. So when you're accelerating, normally the nose would lift, but here the nose dips by up to 22 millimeters. So you're accelerating, but your nose has dipped by up to 22 millimeters. And the same effect is reversed when you are braking. So instead of the nose dipping, the nose lifts by up to 22 millimeters when you're hard on the brakes. It is totally counterintuitive, but the effects on your body are very good. I must tell you that. Electric cars, the performance is ridiculously good, and after a while your body just cannot take it, and that's why you now need to add these suspension tricks in order to reduce the stresses on your body, because very soon you'll come to a level where you actually have to wear a G-suit in the car to experience the entire potential of an electric vehicle. With Quattro, with the grip that you get, there really is staggering amount of acceleration. This is a road car which you can take to a drag race and win drag races without doing any tuning, without putting any masala on the car, nothing. This can actually win drag races and of course then take you on a lovely drive around the countryside. So I'll demonstrate that whole bit once again. So the road that we have here is actually going down. I'm not again doing a launch control run, flooring it. From the driver's seat, it's not so much of a difference, but for the passenger, for the passenger, it makes a massive amount of difference. Because when you're driving, you know the corners, you know when you're going to accelerate, you know when you're going to brake. Your passenger doesn't know. They're just staring at everything wide-eyed in fear. So this kind of reduces the stresses on their body, and in turn, it reduces the stress on you. You get abused a little bit less. Now, the first thing that we have to talk about with an electric car is the battery capacity. Now, thanks to improved cell chemistry, better cooling, we get more battery capacity. 84 kilowatt hour becomes 97 kilowatt hour. In fact, with a more compact cooling system, the weight has gone down by 9 kilos. Not that it makes a difference to a battery electric vehicle, but the weight has gone down slightly. The power, though, has increased enormously. Now, the performance, it is the most powerful car that Audi has ever made. 912 bhp and 1027 Newton meters of torque. Compared to the earlier RS e-tron GT, which was the range topper, this makes 270 horsepower more. So it is phenomenally powerful. And you got to think about this. The 0 to 100 time has gone down by 0.8 seconds. So 8/10ths of a second. And to get that 8/10ths of a second improvement in performance, they had to increase the power by 270 bhp. So 270 bhp equates to 0.8 seconds improvement in the 0 to 100 time. Well, that says a lot. Now, let's talk about the RS e-tron GT, which is now the mid variant in the lineup. Earlier, there was the e-tron GT and the RS e-tron GT. Now, the RS e-tron GT is the mid-level, one step below the performance. On the RS e-tron GT, the power has gone up by 208 bhp to 845 bhp, and that brings down the 0 to 100 time by 5/10ths of a second, 0.5 seconds quicker than the earlier RS e-tron GT. But most significant is the entry version. What was the e-tron GT is now the S e-tron GT, and that also has significantly more power. So the S e-tron GT is equivalent to the earlier RS e-tron GT, and it gives you 0 to 100 in 3.4 seconds. Now, in terms of range, both the RS e-tron GT and the RS e-tron GT performance, the range has gone up by 100 kilometers to 548 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. So expect a real-world range in excess of 400 kilometers. So those are the numbers. How does it translate on the road? Well, the most significant and noticeable change is the improvement in the ride comfort. With the 4 hydraulic pumps, each corner has its own hydraulic pump. The reactions of the suspension are that much quicker. So the low speed ride, the high speed ride, the stability, all have improved. The small little ripples in the road, you barely feel anything. In fact, this has been tuned more for comfort than the Taycan. Now, both Audi and Porsche use this same platform. It is now called J1.2 because it's the next evolution in the J1 platform. And of course, the ride comfort is the big difference. You, of course, also get better handling, better grip. But when you're driving normally, in comfort mode, as you go around corners, you feel less of those lateral G's on your body. It's smoother, and plus the throttle response is so accurate and it's so predictable once you get used to the turn of pace that you can drive it with a significant amount of pace without doing anything stupid. The steering precision is another impressive aspect about this RS e-tron GT. No other electric car, save of course for the Porsche Taycan because the two share the same platform, but no other electric car flows so beautifully down a winding road. Other electric cars, you can feel the weight, they heave on their suspension. This does not. It feels perfectly natural in a way that you would want any fast car to feel. In fact, if you compare it with, say, the other ICE versions in Audi's range, the RS7 for instance, this feels more delicate and, dare I say it, easier. Of course it'll be easier. Come on, what am I saying? It's an electric car, so it will be easier to harness all its performance, but it doesn't feel as heavy as an RS7. This is just easy to drive fast. You drive it with your fingertips. This is a slightly wavy and bumpy road, and it just flows really well. Another area of improvement is in the brake feel, which now feels perfectly natural. This doesn't feel overly boosted and weird. It just feels natural, which is a big thing to do with an electric car. The rear axle steering, it also makes for a brilliant turning circle. It reduces the turning circle by 60 centimeters. You can just whack U-turns anywhere. The interiors remain the same. The twin screen layout, the architecture is the same. But on the performance, you get this camouflaged carbon, which is on the outside as well as on the inside. The steering wheel is new, and you get this RS button plus this boost button. So you punch this and you get 10 seconds of instant response. You in fact get 10 seconds of around 50 bhp more. So you floor it and yeah, see, honestly, on the road, this is too much power. There comes a time when even hardcore performance fans will say that, what is this? You have to have a closed road to be able to deploy all this. 912 bhp on the road. There has to probably be some sort of licensing system. When you go for a race or a rally, you have to apply for a motorsport license. You can't just go and take part in a race or a rally. It should be the same with cars like this, because this kind of power, even for somebody who is used to sports cars and used to powerful cars, this kind of power is just ridiculous. It's over the top, to be honest. I don't believe that I, of all people, am complaining about too much power. And I've always maintained that there's no such thing as too much power. If you have a fast car, you will find the roads to enjoy the car in safety. But this, my word. And like I did with those launch control runs, you can do these launch control runs all day until the state of charge comes down to 30%. And even when you come down to 30%, you will still get 0 to 100 in some 2.8 seconds. Not 2.5, but some 2.8, 2.9 seconds. That's mad power. And there's no question of things overheating, because 2.5 seconds after that you lift off and things settle down. So unlike an ICE, which you just can't keep doing launch control runs, you will fry the clutch, you will fry the engine, everything will go kaput. But with an electric car, you can do it all day. Just check the tire pressures, because the tire pressures will go up, it will get hot. Drop the tire pressures. So make sure you got perfect friction from your 4 tires and just keep launching it. This kind of performance is just wild. And on the road also, the way it goes down these flowing roads, it's beautiful. If you don't care about all those bor noises, an electric car it's the future of performance. I shouldn't be saying it, I'll be short for it, but you get the performance, right? You get mad performance. In terms of styling updates, you'll be hard pressed to make out this updated e-tron GT. In fact, the performance is the big difference, because on this you get this what they call camouflaged carbon, which actually looks really cool. So you have this detailing on the bumper, you have it on the mirror caps. That's nice. You also get these new wheel designs. So 21 and 22 inch wheels, carbon brakes out there. So styling is just very small, minute updates. The big differences are to the powertrain. So the e-tron GT doesn't look too different from the earlier version, but the big improvements are to the acceleration, to the comfort, to the handling. You also get this easy entry system, which raises the body so that it makes it easier to get in and out of the car. And this is loaded with features, it's loaded with functionality, and you take it to a drag race and you can win that event, provided you have solid reaction times. This is the best of all worlds. Of course, doesn't have the emotions of a powerful ICE, but keep that aside, and so long as you have chargers every 400 odd kilometers, this is a great way to drive around the countryside and a superb car to take to a drag race. Even an autocross, this is just insanely capable.